Good morning. So it's like 8:30 on New Year's morning and I am in like a bullet journal mode right now. So I've used my bullet journal in different ways in the past. I'm definitely a very minimalist, practical bullet journaler. What I've been using it recently for has been more just of a notebook. Every day I do this morning flow where I write down gratitude and then affirmations. And then sometimes I will have just like notes that I'm taking based on a client call or just a to-do list or a call that I have with my coaches. And I really haven't been doing like weekly, definitely don't do monthly. I haven't done monthly in forever. Occasionally that's from November, I'll do more of a weekly spread kind of thing. But most of my life, my work life at least, exists on my Google Calendar. So, but there are things that I would like to be tracking more, tracking or being able to reference throughout the year. So I think I'm actually going to keep 2 and basically just continue. I have about maybe a 5th left in this bullet journal. Continue using this one for more of my daily flow and just my like notes, my kind of like on the go, a little bit messier one. And then have another one that is more of like the tracker, has the future log, that kind of stuff in it, things I'm going to want to more reference. Yeah, so I don't know. And maybe it'll just become my everyday one eventually as well. I managed to get this one. I wouldn't choose gold, but actually had this navy blue little case. This one goes really well with the hot pink Leuchtturm 1917. But when I went to Barnes & Noble the other day, this one was $5 off. The other ones were like regular price, $20. So I ended up picking this up. For $5 off, I can go with gold, and it looks really good with the navy blue. So anyway, I've kind of fallen down the like YouTube, like the BUJO tube rabbit hole right now, getting some ideas. So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. Once I get bored with that, I will get back to the unlikely pilgrimage of Harold Frye. I haven't told you at all about what this is, have I? So I'm on page 88 of the unlikely pilgrimage of Harold Frye. I just noticed that my cup is like in the shot. I'll just have a sip and move it. Let's scoot over a bit, cup. Is that better? It's still kind of in the shot. I don't care. Anyway, so what's his name? Harold. Harold is a recently retired English gentleman and married to Maureen. And one day he gets a card, a pink envelope arrives for him from this old friend of his, Queenie, who he used to work with. My dog is a very loud water drinker. You done? Oh, good now? Nice and hydrated? So he finds out that she is in hospice and she doesn't have very long to live. And so he writes her back a card or a note or whatever. And, very sorry to hear about this. And they haven't kept in touch over it's been 20 years. And so he goes to mail the letter to her. And he's just kind of compelled to just walk to the next mailbox. And then the next mailbox. And then it just kind of gets in his head that if he can walk all the way to where she is it's something upon Tweed. It's like 500 miles away from where he is. If he can walk all the way there to hand deliver this letter, then he will save her. And that's just this mission that he has on his mind. And so he just keeps going. Eventually he stops somewhere for the night and he calls his wife. He had left his cell phone. He's wearing yachting shoes. Like, he's not prepared at all. He doesn't have a camelback and hiking boots or anything like that. And then so far it's just kind of about this pilgrimage that he's making and the people he's meeting along the way. So anyhow, I'm gonna get back to bullet journal land, and then I'll catch up with you later. Oh yeah, Also, there will be a book related, like, book library in and out kind of deal spread as well, like similar to what Doris does, although my TBR shelves are a little bit higher than her current numbers are by like a lot. It's now 7:15. Ooh, got a little creeper there. I've done just a little bit of reading. Mostly I've done some bullet journaling and like bullet journal setup and lots of bullet journal video watching more than anything, and just general booktube watching. I took a nap. The next wave of cramps just hit me. I just put the heating pad back on, but I just turned on the Harry Potter reunion, so I'm gonna watch that. And then if I'm still awake, I'll get back to The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Frye, which is really, it's really starting to open up about his story, his past, and his family and relationships and that kind of stuff as he's traveling along. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now. I just finished watching the Harry Potter reunion. It was so good. I didn't want it to end. It choked me up a couple times, especially at the end. It's amazing how much it means to so many people, both the books and the movies. And I was like 14 when the first book came out, and I didn't start reading the books until after the fourth movie came out. So my first Harry Potter experience was seeing the first movie in the theater with my grandma and my aunt, my sister and my cousins. And I was 18 and experiencing my first hangover. And then it wasn't until after the fourth movie that I was like hooked and sped through reading the first 4 books, and then was so excited to be able to read the 5th book because it was all brand new. And so that was all down in Oceanside. My late husband was stationed at Camp Pendleton, and I think he was on a field op. By the time I got to book 5, he was on a field op, so he was gone for like 5 days off shooting cannons in the desert. And normally I would have come back up north, home for if he was going to be gone for a whole week. But I had books to read, and so I read book 5 and I think started book 6, and then I actually had to wait for book 7 to come out. And the last time I spoke to him before he was hit by a roadside bomb was at like 1 o'clock in the morning, the day after book 7 came out. And he called from Iraq middle of the night, which he normally did. And instead of me being, awakened by the phone out of a dead sleep, I was wide awake, so excited. I was in the epilogue, and he was so excited. He's like, "Don't tell me anything about it. Send it to me right away." I sent him that was a Sunday, so I had to wait until Monday to send him the package with his copy of The Deathly Hallows, and he was hit by the roadside bomb the next day. So, and then I read him. He ended up with a very severe traumatic brain injury, and I read him the series out loud. I don't even know how many times. Probably at least 4 times, I would say, in the 13 years that he survived. So to say that Harry Potter is important to me is, an understatement. And it took me years to come up with this design. So Always Faithful is the English translation of Semper Fidelis, which is the Marine Corps motto. So obviously you can see the Harry Potter connection there, the faith connection there as well. So yeah, good stuff. I could rewatch that. Yeah, if you haven't watched it, you don't have access to HBO Max, find somebody who does. And if you're a Harry Potter person, I definitely think it's worth it. a book is the +1 of the single. The solo diner. The Four Agreements is like my car book right now. I'm literally on page 2. Currently trying to use my laptop, but instead I have a lap dog. I literally have it sitting on a pillow next to me, and I'm like awkwardly leaning. Oh, and anywhere with my hand, woo, his head goes. You want love. You want love. What he really wants is FOOD, but it's not time yet. Yeah. So I'm just finishing up at the gym, cooling down a little bit, and I am the only one at the gym right now. So I mean, it's Sunday at 6:30. When I first got here, there were some people here, but I've been completely alone in the gym for like the last 20 minutes. It happens all the time, depending on when I'm here, but just a little bit odd that it's January 2nd, and I'm the only one at the gym. But anyway, sure there'll be a ton of people here tomorrow. But anyway, I've been reading The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Frye, carefully, safely, on the treadmill. And it's neat, as the book is opening up, sometimes we alternate between Harold on his journey and then his wife, Maureen. And there's a lot unsaid in this marriage. It basically, as she just kind of revealed to a neighbor, it hasn't been a marriage for 20 years. And so each of them, either in conversation or in their private thoughts, the other one really means a lot to them. And they do think a lot of the other. They just don't talk to each other, and they don't share it with each other. So I'm really hoping that there's going to be some, I'm sure there is, this great communication is going to happen. And their marriage, their relationship will kind of be reignited. So got some book mail today from Book Depository, stuff that I actually forgot that I even ordered. So I'll show you that when I get home, and then I'll probably wrap up the video after that. So here's a tease for you. New book's coming. So I just realized I never actually showed you what I did in my bullet journal yesterday. So before we get to the books, let me just do that. So this is probably like the fanciest thing I did, but I just like printed and cut out. So this is just like a future log for the first 6 months of the year. Whoops, mark fell out. And then a period tracker. That's exciting. So I have 2021 on one side, so I can see like the pattern, and then 2022. So as you'll see, December 31st, there we go. Good start to the year. And then the Shop My Shelves book challenge. Now, unfortunately, this number 354 was my current fiction unread. Has already gone up because I just got some books. I also just ordered, I reinstated Book of the Month, so that's going to be 2 more books that are coming. I got Lincoln Highway as an add-on, and then I think it was a historical fiction. I can't remember the name of it, but it's not here yet. So yeah, that's already going up. So that's 5. So that means in order to get like, be in the black basically for January, I have to read at least 6 books from my shelves. So, okay, I can do it. Was that the only? Oh, and then I just did like books read, just a list of books read, and then books, like a wish list of books. Yeah. So that's all I have as far as a spread goes. I don't do fancy spread type things. I'm very practical when it comes to what I use my bullet journal for. Sometimes I will do like a weekly layout just to see kind of like where my appointments are. And when I say appointments, it's usually like calls with clients. Either my group coaching call on Zoom or my one-on-one coaching calls. Sorry, my mom's talking kind of loud in the other room. It's like totally distracting me. But anyway, so these books here. So I forgot about this. Jennifer Brooks is doing like a classic readathon kind of thing. And she's going to start with Ivan Turgenev's Fathers and Sons. And it's a nice short little guy, which is a great way to start off with Russian classics. I read A Gentleman in Moscow earlier in the year, and it really got me wanting to read Russian literature. I actually have the Virago Modern Classics, the really pretty, where they're like, they'll be like the Japanese classics or the Italian classics. I have a bunch of the Russian classics and these amazing editions. I don't want to go get them. They're over there. The Master and Margarita, I think, is the one of those that I want to start off with, just because it seems maybe the most accessible. But this is nice and short, and Jennifer Brooks is way smarter than me, and so I can read it with her. It's about, I don't know, it's about fathers and sons. I don't want to read the blurb, but so I will probably start that after I finish with Harold, just to kind of get the classic, like, get into it, so I don't scare myself off with it. I tend to do really well at the beginning of the year, kind of every month to every other month reading a classic, and then I kind of peter out until nonfiction until Victober. So we'll see how I go. Oh, and here's another classic. I have Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte. Beautiful cover. This is a vintage red spine. Another nice thin one. So add to my Bronte collection. And then from thin to very thick, I have book 2 in the Farseer Trilogy, Assassin's Quest. So I read, what's the first one? Assassin. All I can think of is Assassin's Quest now. The Royal Assassin? No. The Royal Assassin? Is that the first one? Whatever the first one in the Farseer Trilogy is. I read it earlier this year and I really loved it. I loved Fitz and the relationship that's starting to form between him and the Fool, which I know becomes a big deal later on in the series. And I got this from Book Depository specifically because I want these UK editions. So I will typically use Book Depository for specific editions like these, or Vintage Red Spines and the Penguin Classics are all really great to get from Book Depository. It's free shipping. It just takes a little bit longer. So that's why I kind of forgot that these were even coming. So there we have it. I'm going to get to some weekly planning and then get back to good old Harold and his pilgrimage to meet up with his friend Queenie. Thank you for watching. See you around the tubes.